A lot of people actually think that about me. A lot of people think I grew up with my dad, I grew up in a freaking nice house or something like that, but I didn't always talk this way. And if it wasn't for the chances and instances in my life of people helping me out and the community from seeing potential in me as a person and making sure I didn't miss out on this or that in life, I probably would be a whole lot different. I grew up in this island called Cebu and the city called Cebu City, which is the Philippines' oldest city. I grew up in a dirt road, last house on a slum, and at the end is like stilt huts. You know, everyone there was so poor they didn't have clothes. I was the only mixed person there, and I was very pale, and I was Muslim, and all the kids were like throw rocks at me and stuff like that. And you know, this one story I always tell is like how one time I got all these rocks thrown at me and I was cut and I was bleeding, I had bruises all over me. I was like 5 years old, 6 years old, and I came back home and my dad's a really tough guy, you know, and he said like, what happened to you? And I said, I told him what happened, and he told me that that I was a coward for running away, even though there's a lot of kids, you know. And he showed me how to make a fist and where to punch them, and he said, don't ever run away again. When I left the Philippines, my dad was really abusive, so my mom made a plan for us to leave without telling him. Then we came to the US, to San Rafael, and we had a bunch of family members already here, but it was like 15 people in a 3-bedroom house. Great place to grow up, but when you're poor, you don't have your dad around, you're just different than everyone else, you feel like it's only happening to you. Because I always felt like I had less than everyone. I felt like I had to earn it harder. I felt like I had to work harder at everything. I felt like I had to prove more character. Like no matter what the odds, no matter how people say, oh, you're gonna get beat up by this guy, it didn't matter. I have this like insane belief in myself because of all those things I had to go through. One of my friends became a really good fighter. Like he would just, you know, he'd fight people, and just because he started going to his kickboxing karate gym, and so I saw how good he got at fighting, and I was like, you know what, I want to do that. But the main reason why I wanted to do that wasn't really just my bullies, is honestly because my dad wasn't around, so my sisters and my mom. Dude, like I've seen what my mom went through with my dad and my sister's boyfriends, like, you know, harassing them, like guys from the street, people bullying my cousins. Because, you know, Filipino people and more Asian people, they're very humble, very nice, you know. So growing up here in America, everyone wants to pick on them and stuff like that. But because I was mixed and because I was more brash than they were, I did not like that, and I wanted to do something about it. No one's gonna protect my mom and my sisters but me. No one's gonna be there for them but me. So that's why when my friend offered the karate kickboxing, the main reason why I wanted to do it was for my sisters and mom, you know? And then I started doing jiu-jitsu, and a month in, I won a tournament, and I had my first fight when I was 17 or 16, something like that. Because in team sports, like even if you're good, but the rest of the team's not good, you may lose, you know, and be like a 3-20 record, and it's like, you're not gaining anything from that. But in wrestling, it's more pressure because it's on you, but because of that, you're in control of your fate. You can walk back home with a medal, you know, and it made me feel like a winner. And my whole life, I've never felt like that. I got bigger, I got stronger, I got more confident in myself. I started like dating girls and stuff like that, and you know, and it gave me a little bit more of an ego. And at the time, my girlfriend was pre-med for Cal, so she wanted me to start going to school, so I just gave up martial arts and tried to do the school thing. You know, years later, it was like 4 or 5 years later, I was like 22, something like that. I wasn't the best with money. I used up all my money, and I got fired out of nowhere, like kind of let go. So I was a front desk, so I just looked at front desk jobs, and I just needed the job that could hire me the quickest and pay rent. But then I saw Gilbert Melendez's gym, and growing up, I always looked up to Jake Shields, Gilbert Melendez, Nick or Nate. You know, I always wanted to be. I thought I was gonna grow up to be Dave Terrell. Honestly, this is crazy that I trained with him. So it's crazy how the world works. Like, I've always looked up to these guys. So when I saw that, I was like, you know, I'm ascended over there. Maybe this might be a calling if I do start training there again. And it's crazy how the world kind of brought me to this, almost like it chose me to get back in fighting again. Like, I never wanted to really be a fighter. I was always an artist. I was like a sensitive artist kid. And then because of life and the challenges of life, I had to learn how to fight. I had to learn how to do this, and it empowered me. It made me feel confident. It gave me respect. It gave me like damn near everything. It still does. I did not like how my dad treated my mom growing up, and I did not want anyone to do that to them. It turned me into kind of like a very hyper-aggressive person, because I also had so much bitterness that I didn't have money growing up. Everyone else did, you know. I was bitter that my dad wasn't around. I was bitter that I had less opportunity than everyone. I didn't have no one to talk to. I had no one, no escape. I had PTSD from being physically abused my whole life, you know. So I had a lot of anger and stuff like that. But because of art and martial arts, yeah, I had an escape for it. So it's crazy now that I'm in the UFC and I'm still undefeated, and it's just like the twist of life kind of just brought me to this. So, you know, now I'm too far in to turn back, so let's see what happens, you know, so I'm excited for the future. Thank you, Guardian, for giving me this opportunity and giving so much opportunity to people around the world. You guys have a great cause, and I'm very thankful for y'all.